Hello, Blenders, and welcome to episode number 310 of Real Blend, podcast that pours one out for our good friend Bing Bong. On this week's show, we're going to rank Bruce Willis's top 5 films. Selfishly, we're doing this because I have a new Bruce Willis book out. And Inside Out 2 is in theaters. We have thoughts on that one, so stay tuned. My name is Sean O'Connell, the managing editor at Cinema Blend, joined as always by my good friends Jake Hamilton and Kevin McCarthy. Boys, how are you?
My man.
Good to see you guys.
Happy book day, buddy.
Thank you very much. This morning, I got to go on Fox 32 in Chicago. Jake's audiences got to see my face already, which was very, very nice, dude. Thank you so much for having me on.
I will say that there's nothing like waking up being so excited that one of your best friends is going to come on your morning show thinking like, this is really going to be like one of the big things that happens to him today. And an hour before he comes on your show, an LA Times review of his book drops and completely diminishes the value of his morning show appearance on your show. Like I've never so quickly been reduced to second fiddle as I have this morning, the moment that glorious, glowing review from LA Times dropped.
Jake, I want to tell you that you're wrong.
I know I'm not wrong.
Because of our friendship. And tell you that my appearance on Fox 32 triumphed over the LA Times review, but it did not.
I should have just ripped apart the book on the air.
Well, I mean, I had to hold it up myself, for God's sake.
We have the live guest of the worst book of the year.
Jake told me it was they had a graphic made of my cover. I didn't, and then they didn't.
We were too busy making the graphic of the amazing new LA Times review.
Oh, thank you very much. That's a really nice one. Kev, where'd you get that jacket from? You're sporting that jacket a ton now. It looks really good on you.
I don't know. It's some store. I was walking through a mall and I saw it on it was like a clearance rack on this, whatever that Golden Goose or something, whatever that is.
I love it. It looks really good on you, man.
Thank you, man.
You've been rocking it.
I remember people stopping me about it. They were like, "Do you know what Golden Goose is?" I'm like, "No, apparently it's." And this is not an ad. I guess they make really nice shoes. I have never heard of the company before. I just saw this green bomber sitting in the window, and I'm like, "Oh, I really want to get that," and it was on sale.
Hold on, wait. We got to talk about the fact that because people might not know this unless they've watched Kevin on YouTube, but he switched over from suits to bombers, and I fully endorse this primarily because
you do it.
Well, no, not because of that. You roll your sleeves up and your corn tattoo is now showing in your
jackets. My interview with Maya Hawke and Amy Poehler. I walked in, it was so crazy. Like Amy Poehler apparently watches my work. What? She was like, I'm such a massive fan of your work. I watch you all the time. I'm like, where, how? And then I start the interview and it's like this big corn tattoo. And I had to realize, I'm kind of doing a Pixar movie here. I probably should have covered it up. So I rolled it up halfway through. But yeah, I do have a corn tattoo. I'm excited about it. I got a Deftones one too. Yeah.
There's a visual element to this show, which you have to watch on YouTube. So join us. YouTube.com.
Gabe's shirtless right now. And you won't know that unless you watch this on YouTube.
It's true. It's true.
Gabe, turn your camera on at this point now so everyone can see your luxurious hair, though.
Look at it.
It looks
Look
amazing.
at it.
Fantastic.
I used to just let this out for the premium, but that went away. So
it's true. Yeah, now everybody gets to enjoy it. YouTube.com/Real Blend Podcast. Of course, we're available all different places you get your podcast needs met. If you would like, this week I have a newsletter coming out. It's probably going to be about this. This is my new Bruce Willis book.
All right. It's been out for almost 12 hours. Move on. How long are you going to milk this cow?
June 11th currently as we're recording, and the book is hitting shelves right now. And so for that reason, also check the description for information on where to sign up. For that reason, we were talking about what are we going to do this week because we don't have a guest. A couple of things fell through. A few other guests are coming out later, tied to films that will be reaching theaters in a little bit. And so then do I tease what we were even going to do? Because we're going to do it eventually, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll do it eventually. I don't want to disappoint people with what that could have been.
I understand.
I don't want to undersell this.
We were going to do something cool, but instead we're doing something cool.
Yeah.
But then I was sitting in. So yesterday I went to go see, I did a double feature and I haven't done a double feature in.
I didn't know you did a double feature.
Ever. I saw The Watchers.
Oh.
And then I saw Bad Boys Ride or Die. Later on this episode, Kevin and I are probably going to try to break down Ride or Die because the two of us got a chance to catch up with that. But while I was sitting there watching these films, I was thinking selfishly about myself and my book that was coming out. And I thought, hey, wait a second. This should be the week that we do a fun Bruce Willis kind of ranking to get our collective thoughts about his filmography. And so, we do tier lists on the show every once in a while. A Bruce Willis tier list would be daunting, to say the least. You'd probably have to do it by decade. So instead, we're going to try to come up with our collective Real Blend list of his top 5. And Gabe, why don't you why don't you explain to the people how we're going to try to piece this together?
I think we can dive right in. The way to go over this quickly is that first we're gonna create a list of 9 films that each of us want to consider, and then from there we will whittle that down live in front of you, live studio audience. We'll whittle that down into a top 5, which should be fun. This is we haven't done this before. Usually we kind of do stuff ahead of time, but we think this discussion format will be fun. So let us know in the comments. I'm going to preemptively let you know if you check out this discussion, follow through, let us know what you like. But I think we can dive right into it. So like I said, we're going to start off with picking out 9 films to consider before we get to the top 5. And we're going to do that sort of snake draft style. So you each get the chance to highlight 3 films that you want to consider. And Sean, as the man of the hour, the man of the week, the man of the year, we'll start with you. What's the first film that we have to consider in Bruce Willis's top 5?
It's Die Hard. It has to be the first Die Hard, without a doubt, has to be considered. I would not be shocked if we end up getting one of the other Die Hards.
So
list.
Die Hard without vengeance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just Die Hard, establishing later why there will be vengeance. But for currently right now,
without vengeance,
simply Die Hard. Yeah, that's what all the cool kids call it.
Sean,
you mean without a vengeance?
Sean, I don't know if you've told people this, but the ending of Sean's book, just spoiler alert, is that he finally comes to the realization that Die Hard with a Vengeance is the best Die Hard by far. And it's taken him 40 years to come to this realization, because Sean's 95 and he's been around for a long time. But
I was 40 when I saw the first Die Hard.
Oh God, your book ended differently than mine did.
Yeah.
I read the end and I was just like, thank you. Finally, he saw the light.
Mine just says Die Harder. I get it now.
All right, Die Hard, first pick.
All right, Kevin, you're up in this first round. What's the first film you want us to consider for his top 5?
I'm dropping this in because when I think of Bruce Willis, it's one of my favorite things he ever did. Now, the movie itself might not be a movie you would think of when you're thinking of Bruce Willis's filmography, but the bit in Ocean's 12 is one of my favorite bits I've seen in movies in years. I love that moment. I love that aspect of him being in the film. The whole Julia Roberts thing. It's just hilarious, and it's one of my favorite things. It's so funny. I'm not going to include
That's
Four
a bold
Rooms
move, Cotton.
on my list, but those little bit parts that he plays.
Yeah,
terrific. Yeah. And his comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's better known for. I like that he gets known for comedy as opposed to action.
Yeah. All right, Jake, your first one on the list.
I'm going to go with Sixth Sense. I think it's just a beautiful blend of one of the things Sean talks about in his book, which is Bruce's ability to work with young upcoming directors. In this case, obviously, M. Night Shyamalan. But that, as tragic as that performance is, it's also a much funnier performance. You guys were talking about comedy. He's got some really dry one-liners in The Sixth Sense in his conversations with Haley Joel Osment. And I just think it's just an incredible performance that really anchors that movie. I mean, I feel like Haley Joel Osment, he got the Oscar nomination, and that's the performance. That's all the lines are the ones that he says. But that movie does not work without Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis is like, I am dead people.
Yeah, I am the dead people.
Jake, back to back. We're snake drafting this one. You're gonna pick our 4th film to consider.
I'm going Pulp Fiction, baby. I mean,
I can't believe it took 4.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sean perfectly brings this up in the book, which is that, Butch doesn't have a lot of lines in Pulp Fiction, but it's a reminder that Bruce doesn't need them. Sometimes he just says it all just by being there with his eyes. That moment where he's escaped the basement and he's about to leave and he's grabbed the keys to the chopper, and then he takes that moment and turns around and realizes he should probably go back and help Marcellus. He says more in that moment of silence and that internal struggle of do I escape or do I try to go back and help this guy who just 5 minutes ago was trying to kill me? That's just an incredible moment in his filmography.
Fantastic. Yeah. Kevin, we're back to you in the snake draft format. What's this is going to be the fifth film for us to consider. Your second, putting up on the list. So far, we have Die Hard, Ocean's 12, Sixth Sense, and Pulp Fiction from across the man's filmography. These are tough choices.
Gotta go Die Hard with a vengeance. The superior Die Hard. The superior Die Hard to all of them. It's just an incredible film.
You like it better than the first one, you said, right? It's your favorite?
It's my favorite, and I think it's the best of the Die Hards because the chemistry. I mean, Die Hard 1 is a solo act mixed with the villains, right? The chemistry between Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson is remarkable. They are so great together.
There's an electricity there. That you get in like the buddy cop duo sort of vibe. Yeah, the electricity is really fun.
I'll make my argument here. Well, no, I'll save my argument for later.
We can save,
yeah. We gotta save it for when we because I got some thoughts on Ocean's 12 too that I'm saving for our chisel down.
Sean, what is your next one you want to add to the list of consideration?
I think I'm going to put 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys.
You're a big 12 Monkeys guy. I need to rewatch that. I have not seen that in years.
You need to rewatch it.
You guys should see Ocean's 12 Monkeys.
Slow clap. Well done.
Nice job. And because this is a snake draft, this is where things get really tough because...
And this is your last pick.
This is my last chance.
Yeah, this is the only guarantee you get to add to. Again, consider.
My last chance to get a movie in here, and I've got a number of them that are vying for it. But I am going to go with, God damn it, that's hard.
If anyone wants to know what Sean's looking at, he's reading his book right now.
Bruce. I'm gonna go Death. No.
See, I'm stuck between two, so I really need you to pick one, so it makes my job easier.
I'm gonna go Sin City.
That's not one of them.
I'm throwing Sin City in there. Kevin is having so much fun. He decided to join us twice.
Yeah. It's all right. A little technical difficulty, but we're back. Hopefully, folks at home didn't notice the thing. Sin City. All right. Kev dropped out for a second, but I'll give us a recap in case. But Kevin, you're up. So far, we have Die Hard, Ocean's 12, Sixth Sense, Pulp Fiction, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and Sean just picked 12 Monkeys and Sin City, which I feel like puts Kevin in I feel like those were a couple that Kevin would have been considering.
Unbreakable.
Nice.
Good job, Kev.
Nice. Okay, Jake, you're closing us out. The closer.
I was going back and forth between two films, and I was really struggling with what my last pick was going to be. Luckily, one of those films was Unbreakable. So that makes my last pick easy, and I'm going with a movie that has a lot of nostalgic hold over me and was one of my great summer movie experiences as a kid. I'm going Armageddon, baby. I mean, just everything about that movie was such... I mean, that was the movie of the summer, and I believe that came out the same summer as Saving Private Ryan, but like Armageddon, you could not escape that Aerosmith song that summer. You know, that was the Bruce Willis grabbing Ben Affleck and throwing him back into the spaceship to go sacrifice himself was like the moment that everyone was crying at all summer. It was just, I mean, and he just anchored and rocked that.
Jake, I didn't want to close my eyes. I didn't want to fall asleep. I was afraid I was going to miss Bruce Willis, baby.
Miss a thing. Is that, Jake, or is that like a generational movie in the sense that I feel like for me, for probably everyone here who was there in the moment, Armageddon is this classic, amazing, must watch. Does it hold up today? Like, do people rediscover it?
I watch it from time. It's not a like I watch every year kind of movie, but I watch it from time to time, and I still feel things when I hear that Aerosmith song.
Right,
like,
but it doesn't have that. Or I'm curious. I feel that I don't feel people talk about it. And obviously, this is very different. I'm not putting it up there with Pulp Fiction, but the way that films that sort of come out of the 90s or those different decades that are like, this is a staple of that, point. It doesn't feel like one of those unless you were there. It's
been out long enough where the nostalgia element would have kicked in by now.
Right.
And it hasn't yet. In fact, I actually think this might be the 25th anniversary. I think it came out in 99.
You know what they need to do that?
98, 99?
Armageddons.
There's
two Armageddons.
Two asteroids, one coming from either side.
How do we set off two bombs at once?
if the two things split, they'll hit the other
They'll
two
hit the
things
other,
that
and then they
split.
bounce back into each other.
God, what are we gonna do?
They got to get a group of guys that pour cement
Yeah.
in
That
Oklahoma.
for Bay, it's better than Pearl Harbor and his Transformers sequels in general,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it's not as good as like The Rock and like Bay was humming.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but there are here. I'm gonna push back. It's not as tight as The Rock, and so it's not as perfect of a film. But there are sequences within Armageddon that I think challenge the best moments in The Rock.
You know who's killer in Armageddon? Billy Bob Thornton. He's
Yeah. Oh, that is, and what could have been a very throwaway role.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton takes that
Yeah.
performance and runs with it.
He has the guy who has to explain all the stuff very quickly for the audience.
Yeah.
How many NASA control room movies did we get in the 90s? Now that I think about
A
it.
lot. Yeah.
how many guys with mics on their heads
Yeah.
are just yelling at screens?
An unusual amount.
That's fantastic.
All right, so now we have the 9, right?
We have
can
the
I just
9.
briefly mention that the movies we left out Looper.
I thought Looper I was thinking about, but that falls under we had the conversation before we started rolling about, are we talking about best performances or best movies? Well, God, you could even make that argument for best movies.
It's both.
We left out Fifth Element. Fifth Element's not in
Yeah.
here.
This is the
Death
this is the
Becomes
fun. This is why we make weird little game formats. I'll quickly go over it, and then we're gonna throw to a break, and we'll come back on the other side, and we'll whittle down these 9 into a top 5. But so far, we have Die Hard, Ocean's 12, Sixth Sense, Pulp Fiction, Die Hard with a Vengeance, 12 Monkeys, Sin City, Unbreakable, and Armageddon. On the other side of this break,
Good list.
we'll turn that into a top 5. So stay tuned. And we are back, and it is time to whittle down these 9 Bruce Willis films into 5. And we're going to turn that 5 into a top 5. But to start, I will go through the top 9 films the 9 films that we just pulled out from his filmography. And one by one, we'll decide whether or not it has to be on the 5, and then we will rank that 5. To start off, we have Die Hard, and I'll just ask you boys, Die Hard. Does Die Hard have to be in Bruce Willis's top 5?
I'm going to say yes.
We all agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Die Hard makes the list.
Good.
Okay.
I don't care what else happens.
Ocean's 12 is next on our list. I know it's Kevin's first pick. I know where he feels. Does Ocean's 12 have to be on his top 5?
I'm pretty passionately going to say no.
Okay.
No.
Given the other choices, I'm going to say no. But I'm standing up with Kevin and saying that.
Does
I
Kev
think
say
that
no
it's
too, or are you just saying?
Yeah, I said no.
You said no? That was
Yeah,
your
I
first
just want-
pick.
I just
You
wanted
wanted
it in
contention.
the. Well, I already. There's no point in arguing this because you and Sean are going to go against it anyways. So there's no
fair.
point in even. Yeah.
Well, here,
so it's like.
let's-
But you're
Can
not
I-
wrong to have it in the 9.
I was
It's
going to say,
great.
I do want to at least, because you did take it first, and it is in the 9. Give it some flowers, Kev. You talked about it a little bit, but before we move on, Ocean's 12. It's not going to make the top 5, but we'll give it some flowers. Why is
Yeah,
Ocean's
I mean-
12 so special?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier when I picked it, it's like when I think of Bruce Willis, I'm not doing a bit, but I also like the idea that it's not something people talk about a lot in his filmography. It's kind of one of those roles that I think is like I mentioned, Four Rooms. I love him in Four Rooms. For people who don't know what Four Rooms was, it was 4 different directors, 4 different storylines. Rodriguez did one, Tarantino did one. I'm blanking on the other filmmakers, but because it's been years since I've seen it. So please, if you know it, comment below. But it is like Bruce Willis's part in that movie. Isn't he at the end of the New Year's
He's in
Eve
Quentin's
party?
one. Yeah.
Right, with the finger being cut off and like that whole New Year's Eve thing. He's great in that. So it kind of equivalent to that part of the idea. But I just love him in Ocean's 12. It's just a funny, self-aware bit. I think they do a really good job of kind of playing along with the celebrity and the idea of it. I just found that to be funny, and I think that Julia Roberts and him had a great time filming it. I could just tell. It just seems like, and I remember talking to Julia Roberts about it recently when I sat down with her for Ticket to Paradise, and George Clooney was even laughing about it. It's kind of one of those funny things. I do want to mention real quick, since the other filmmakers for Four Rooms, because I don't want to cut anybody out. Sure. It was Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, Allison Anders, and Alexandra Rockwell. So I just wanted to give everybody their credits. But yeah, I mean, it's again, I didn't expect for it to make the top 5. I knew deep down that nobody would agree with me to put it in the top 5, but I at least wanted to give it some flowers in the
Here's
9 element.
That bit fails spectacularly if they don't pull it off. It's the thinnest line for them to walk.
100%.
And the two of that, well, Damon's amazing in it. Cheadle's amazing in it. And then
Julia
Bruce and
Roberts'
Juliet.
reaction when she realizes who it is, her big giant laugh. And I'm not trying to like shit on it by voting against it. It is a great moment, but thinking about what our mission is here, I feel like it doesn't fall under the.
I get it. Well, also, why aren't we doing some kind of play on words with our 9, like the whole 9 yards, something like that? I don't know why.
We could have done 2 less and done Lucky Number 11.
True, it's true.
Which is a great movie, by the way.
Great movie too.
A great movie.
But yeah, I have no problem with Ocean's 12 not being in the top 5. But thank you for giving me a platform to at least acknowledge his existence in Bruce Willis's life.
Fair enough.
You know, fun trivia, just because you mentioned Allison Anders, who's not a filmmaker that necessarily comes up. Allison Anders is how eventually Edgar Wright got the name Last Night in Soho. Or Last Night in Soho.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Allison Anders mentioned that would be a great name for a movie, I think it was, to Quentin Tarantino, and then Quentin Tarantino said that to Edgar Wright. And when Edgar Wright was like, "Oh, you told me that, thank you," he was like, "Thank Allison Anders," and now they're both, I think if you look in Last Night in Soho, they both have like a thanks.
Oh, that's cool.
Because that's how he came up with that name.
Great
Shout
movie.
out Allison Anders. Okay, so Ocean's 12 is our first film to hit the honorable mentions list. But moving on, we have Sixth Sense. Gentlemen, does Sixth Sense have to be in Bruce Willis's top 5?
I say yes.
100%.
100%. Okay.
It is hands down one of the most impressive twist reveals I've ever seen.
Yep.
And at the same time, I always compare it to Get Out in the way that when you watch Sixth Sense for the first time and then you watched it again the second time, the experience was as if you got 2 films, completely 2 different films. You'll never watch the first movie ever again because you already know what happens. So you only have that one unique experience that first time. And then every other time after it, there's growth and there's interest. And with Get Out, very similarly, where once you realize what's going on, you go back and watch the whole thing, and then you see all the pieces being put together. Bruce Willis is basically doing 2 performances in the movie, if you actually think about it. He's playing to us initially that we think he's alive. Now, obviously, the character is dead the whole time, but Bruce Willis had to work with M. Night, I'm imagining, I don't know their conversations, where he has to play certain scenes and block certain scenes and say certain things and look at certain things in eyesight that won't give away that he's dead, but then also play to the fact that he is dead on the other viewing. It's like they had to match it, knowing the first audience and second audience were going to watch it. So I think that's a really difficult task. I know a lot of that lies within M. Night and the script, but you don't nail that unless you're a talented actor like Bruce Willis and you can just play it straight, in the sense of like you're playing it like the character doesn't know the audience is watching it, is what I'm saying.
Also, I don't know if you could
just,
I don't know if you could hide that secret nowadays. Like it came around at a time when that was still possible.
But just, do you guys, I mean, I will never forget that moment. Like I'll never forget the reveal. It was
I know exactly
shocking.
where I was sitting in a packed theater on a Friday night in Regal Stonecrest.
No one knew.
No one, literally no one knew. No, when I tell you, when people say like, "Oh, I figured it out," like no one knew what was happening. And then I felt stupid, because I was like, "How did I not pick up the number
brilliance.
of clues that are there?"
Yeah,
because I mean, they're all over the place.
There's 2 aspects to that actually make that sort of hard to repeat. One is the social media. It'll get ruined. You'll see the spoiler, which I think you could argue like a moment like Infinity War and Endgame had those, like, it felt like the culture kind of around the superhero sort of films gave that its moment. But then you would just go see the movie that week. And now someone would come to you and say, "You got to see it. Go see it. I won't tell you anything. You got to see it." And still you're like, okay, what's going to happen? And you're thinking that versus that moment of, I'm just seeing the big movie this week because that's what we do. And it's the one movie this week, arguably.
That movie, I think, also kind of put an entire generation on their guard for surprise endings and to be prepared. You know, I don't want to list out other movies that kind of copied it because I don't want to like ruin their endings. But there are a lot of movies that came.
It made
after.
a legend of M. Night. You know. Like,
yeah. But there are a lot of movies that came after that had a variation of he was dead the whole time, or he was this the whole time, or he was that the whole time.
It was a dream the whole time.
And I feel like a lot, like from after Sixth Sense, everyone went into a thriller going, okay, like what's the bit? Because I didn't figure out that one, but I'm going to figure out this one.
Yeah. That's why Unbreakable was so remarkable too. Like that was a hell of a follow-up that had, it was never going to be the Sixth Sense. And I think that's the problem. It's like Jackie Brown in Pulp Fiction. Like I know Reservoir Dogs was Quentin's first movie. I have anybody out there who wants to say like, oh, that's not his second or third movie. But my point is Pulp Fiction was such a big success, like the Sixth Sense, that like to follow that up with, and it's like Paul Thomas Anderson going from Boogie Nights to Magnolia. It's like, it's just not going to hit the same way. But now as I get older, I appreciate Jackie Brown so much more outside of the context of going into it as Pulp Fiction. But my point being about Bruce Willis and Unbreakable, similar situation, that twist blows my mind every single time as well.
We'll come back to Unbreakable as well, but let's move on. So Sixth Sense is in contention, and I'll say this now. I think the way this will work, we'll go through this and we'll decide, does it have to be? And if we hit a point where there's 5 in the 5 we're going to consider, but we still have some left, we'll have the ability to be like, okay, you all think this should be, and we'll swap them out if we need to. But we'll get to that problem if we have it. For now, we only have 2 up for consideration, or 2 up to rank, which are Die Hard and Sixth Sense. And I feel like I know this one. Pulp Fiction. Does Pulp Fiction have to be in Bruce Willis's top 5?
Did Jake go 2 for 2 so far?
All right. 100.
I mean, you had back-to-back picks. You had first back-to-back picks. All right.
Yeah, but I also had the last pick of everybody.
That's fair.
So on you.
What are you getting? You think you're getting credit for getting Sixth Sense and Pulp Fiction?
Hey, you know what? If they were so great, you should have picked them.
Not wrong. Okay, and then we have a return.
Here it gets interesting.
Yeah. Return to the Die Hard franchise with Die Hard with a Vengeance. Does Die Hard with a Vengeance have to be in Bruce Willis's top 5? Which I will say, because I know, Kevin, this is your favorite. It's also, I like it more than 2. So I come from much more strongly on Kevin's side of just absolutely loving Die Hard with a Vengeance. But I'll pose the question to you, gentlemen. Does it have to be in Bruce Willis's top 5, Kev?
All right, so what are our definitives right now? Just real quick on a recap. I know you might have just said it. Sorry.
So far we have in the what we're going to eventually rank, which, like I said, could swap out if we end up, if it gets hairy with the last handful here. But we have Die Hard, Sixth Sense, and Pulp Fiction.
Okay,
Ocean's
so we
12
have 3 so far.
We have 3 so far. So there's 2 more slots open.
2 slots.
I 100% say it deserves to be in his top 5, and I think I have no problem with 2 Die Hards being in there. I respect the first Die Hard.
It's his franchise. I think there's merit to that.
Yeah. So Die Hard 3 is just. I mean, it's just the Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis chemistry. It's kind of how I feel about, like, I would want to watch those 2 characters continue in multiple films. It's like how I feel about Bad Boys. Like, I will watch Martin Lawrence and Will Smith's characters for 30 more movies. And to me, the comedic timing that Martin and Will have, like where Martin is kind of like the over the top character, and then Will is kind of the deadpan, like the jokes bounce off of him and his reactions are what's funny. That's kind of how I feel about the dynamic in Die Hard, where like Bruce Willis is so deadpan and Sam Jackson is like, well, no, I guess they're both just kind of like over the top in a way, but they're also kind of stoic in their own way as well. So I don't know, it's just the chemistry back and forth that I think is just funny to me. I would love to watch them continue in other stories. I love like I just love buddy cop type of films.
Like I was saying, that electricity is hard to match. Not to turn everything into a superhero movie. I apologize. But you mentioned like seeing them continue. Imagine if Marvel had taken the opportunity to throw Bruce Willis in opposite Nick Fury and do some sort of fun little, like, obviously, that's a different dynamic.
Oh, wow.
But like just to I would have loved to see that connection again.
And again, on the buddy cop thing, it's like Lethal Weapon. It's the same thing. It's Danny Glover, Mel Gibson. Like it's just the vibe of like 2 fun characters just going back and forth in action.
I'll throw to Jake and Sean to get their votes in. For the audience at home, I'm not making a vote unless I need to break some sort of tie, which we'll see. What I will say about the merits of 2 diehards on the list, and if it were, it would have to be these 2 because Die Hard with a Vengeance is so different than what Die Hard is. Like I think that's Sean's argument for it not being the better sequel because it's not as true to what Die Hard is. I think he's completely right about that. But I think
wasn't
that's
it
also
written as a Lethal Weapon, or it was written as something else?
It was a
Yes.
spec
Was it
script
Commando?
It was a spec script titled Simon Says.
Okay,
Right.
And
Okay,
it was
just
supposed to
spec.
be a generic action film. And then it got refashioned into a third Lethal Weapon. And then when that didn't get off the ground,
That's what I was thinking of.
they packaged it as the third Die Hard. But
And for
that's
me,
the
it
only
works,
reason why Zeus is there, Kev, to be honest. Like the reason why they have the Sam Jackson characters, because initially they were writing it as a Riggs and Murtaugh type thing.
It's just following those characters around New York City, driving through Central Park.
Sure.
It's like a game.
Well, so let me-
Sean-
it's so much fun.
Let me weigh in.
Kevin's a yes. Sean,
Yeah.
you're
I am not a no. Let me
Okay.
say that. Let me say that.
Wow.
I'm not a no because I understand. Like my nitpicks are where it falls in the Die Hard franchise, but as a whole, it's a very fun movie. It's an incredibly fun movie.
Awesome.
McTiernan's a great director. Sam and Bruce are terrific together. Jeremy Irons is a fun villain. I don't think it's a very good Die Hard movie, but I think it's a great action movie. We have 2 slots and a couple of really good films, but I'm not going to be the one that says it doesn't belong in the top 5. If Jake decides he likes it, yes, I'm okay with it. So in a way, it's fallen on Jake a little bit.
Can I ask real quick, just for perspective, what are the other ones remaining that would take the 2 slots that we have left?
remaining, but I want to go to Jake after this.
I know.
Remaining, we have 12 Monkeys, Sin City, Unbreakable, and Armageddon.
Oh, okay. In my opinion, Die Hard 3 deserves to be in there out of over all 4 of those.
Sure. And it
Personally.
is your second pick, so I totally get that.
Because of what is remaining, I'm going to vote no.
No,
I feel like Die Hard having the first original one in there, in my mind, kind of represents Die Hard as a whole. And,
I think that's fair.
And based on the what I think are pretty remarkable films that we haven't even touched on yet, it would kind of crush me to take up 40% of our list with the words Die Hard.
Okay.
So Sean, are you on the fence? You need me to break the tie, or are you firm one way or the other?
Based on what's left.
Yeah, read the 4. Read the 4 again, Sean. Listen to these 4. You think
12
Die Hard 3
Monkeys.
is
12 Monkeys is better than Die Hard with a Vengeance.
It's not better than Die
Okay,
Hard.
hang on. Let him pick.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'll get
Sin
to the
City.
discussion.
Close.
And we can't show our cards about how we feel about everything just
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah.
Sin City is not better.
It's not.
Well, just
all right. Unbreakable is much better.
Let me know yes or no question.
I'll
You're
vote
literally
no.
revealing-
I'll vote no. I'll vote no.
No. Okay. Die Hard with a Vengeance makes the honorable mention.
That's
list.
crazy. You guys are insane. That movie is that is absolutely insane to me. That's not on our list.
It's a fun
I feel
movie.
I feel embarrassed.
I'm
No,
with Jake though.
no.
I think when you're making a top 5, there are those. You make those decisions, and Sean, maybe you can talk about this because you make a lot of. You've been in a lot of conversations about collective top 5s and stuff for an outlet like Cinema Blend. You make those sort of decisions of Die Hard is representing the whole sort of thing in order to give more way, or in order to give the opportunity for other things to come forward. And I think that's okay in a sort of a top 5 format, especially a collective top 5.
Well, but also with Bruce Willis specifically, I think his versatility deserves to be represented better.
Yeah.
If we were doing Arnold, I don't think we could argue against Terminator and T2 being
Sure.
represented.
Right.
You'd have to.
Those are
include
also
those two.
two wildly different performances.
So
He's
is
playing
Die
two
Hard
different-
1 and 3.
But
in
you
terms
get
of
what I'm
movies,
saying,
they're
though.
different
You get what I'm
movies, though.
saying, but
No, I don't. I
he's-
don't agree with that.
he's
Actually,
literally Arnold is literally playing two different characters.
but it's still like, but Die Hard 3 is a very different film than Die Hard.
I know,
1.
but he's still playing John McClane, just thrown into different situations, so we see different sides of him. Arnold is playing two different characters.
That are polar opposites of each other.
We'll have to come back for the Arnold top 5.
I'm
at some
down for
point.
the Arnold.
Really
But right now we are
Arnold
at
top 5.
12 Monkeys. Gentlemen, does 12 Monkeys have to be on this list? Jake?
No for me.
No from
Oh,
Kevin. No, it's okay.
Yes, for me.
Yes from Jake.
It's a yes
Oh,
from me too. So for now,
It's a 2-1. It's 2-1. It's in for now. Like I
I
said,
think it's his best movie. Kevin, you don't like that movie?
No, I love 12 Monkeys, but it's not top 5. Fifth Element's better than 12 Monkeys.
Fifth Element's not on this list. Unfortunately, you boys didn't pick it.
Yeah, 12 Monkeys is great, but Fifth Element's way better.
All right, we'll see if one of these. So we have 4 so far.
Oh,
we have
you know what's
3 to
also
go.
better than 12 Monkeys is Last Boy Scout.
Yeah, that didn't make the list either.
Yeah.
And we can choose more. That at this point, it's not like we can only say, we can only pick one more. We can choose. We have 3
this is
left.
this is how it'll work. This is how it'll work. So if we go to Sin City and it gets the list and we have 5, and then we go to Unbreakable and we go, well, I think it needs to be, then that'll turn into what do we remove? What do we remove? Yeah, that's what it'll go. So for each one, just answer what feels right, and then we'll have the hard conversation after that if we need to. But that brings us to Sin City. Sin City. Does it have to be on this list? Kev?
Yes.
So.
Yes from Kev.
Yes.
No from
Oh, yeah.
Sean.
I say no.
Icky in the hot seat.
I'm gonna say no, but it's a painful no. Because it's a painful no. I do love Sin City, and I love Bruce in Sin City.
It's on the honorable mentions.
He's amazing in it.
It's one of his best performances of his whole career.
Oh, he's so good at it.
It's like the old film noir aspect of it. That's a role that I think it's one of his best.
You know who's great in Sin City is Josh Hartnett.
Hartnett is really good.
In the bookends.
Yep.
He's have to come back. Love that.
Yeah, he's about to come back.
Wood.
Yeah.
You know,
Elijah Wood. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
Movie's
Okay.
But the sequel is bad.
It is really bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. It was very strange that it's like all the same people working in the same format, and they just missed the mark completely.
Was it a money grab? Was Sin City enough of a success to call that like a money grab?
It was also one of those that felt, because it can't be too bad of a money, because it took forever for them to make. There were all these I feel like that's that movie that went through different cast variations, and this person was attached to it, and I think at one point Angelina Jolie was attached to it, and all these people were, and then by the time I think it happened, the world had moved on, and no one really cared anymore.
Yeah, so Sin City made $158 worldwide on a $40 million budget. Sin City 2
made $84.
Dame to Kill for it. We don't have a budget for it, which is always a bad sign, at least according to Box Office Mojo. And it didn't even make the budget back from the first one. Made 39.
Oof.
But interesting. Yeah, curious. Okay, up next we have Unbreakable. Does Unbreakable have to be on this list? Kev, you picked it. I assume you're a yes.
100%. Yes.
100%. Jake, you're 100%.
While I may not have allowed or wanted to allow 2 diehards, I have no problem with 2 Shyamalans, so I'm going to say yes, 100%.
Love that. Okay, so it's on, but is it unanimous, or do you have a dissenting argument?
It's unanimous. I also think Unbreakable has to be on here.
All right. So far, so we have 5. We have 5. We have Die Hard, Sixth Sense.
My last baby's about to be killed, you bastards. I have a feeling which way you guys are going to break.
Pulp Fiction, 12 Monkeys, and Unbreakable. So now the question is, does Armageddon need to replace one of these films? Does Armageddon have to be on this list?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Well, if Kevin agrees.
Kev?
No.
2 no's.
Damn it, Kevin. It's because I voted against yours.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's how
I am holding.
You like 12 Monkeys more than Armageddon?
No, but I'm still saying no to Armageddon because you killed 2 of my two of my best ones.
It's a vengeance play.
Kevin's
It can't be a
drafting
vengeance.
with a
It's not an
vengeance.
honorable mention.
Personal.
Drafting
Y'all
with a
killed
vengeance.
y'all killed Die Hard 3 and Sin City. That's insane.
And Ocean's 12. But I feel like you knew that was happening.
I killed that
You
one,
killed
yeah.
Ocean's 12.
Ocean's 12 could have been.
Armageddon. I do think Armageddon deserves to be on there over 12 Monkeys.
Okay.
If I'm being completely honest and not doing a bit.
That's a game changer. That's a game changer.
Armageddon. So then, Jake, then you can go ahead and vote for Die Hard 3, and then we'll be a whole happy family here, right?
Well, okay, hang on. Let's do this seriously now. Bits aside. Jake says it should be on the list. Kevin says, before you say what should come off, you say yes, you think it has to be in the top 5.
I think it should be on the top 5 if it's replacing the movie that I just said. Yeah.
And Sean, do you think it should or not be on the top 5?
Who? Armageddon?
Armageddon. You think? Do we need to
No,
put
I don't
this
think
up?
it should be. But if it's 2-1, it's 2-1.
It's 2-1. Okay, I just need to know where things stand. Okay.
Again, I love all 9 of these,
Yeah.
so I'm okay.
Kevin wants to replace 12 Monkeys. Jake, what is it that you would replace?
Also 12 Monkeys.
Yes.
Okay. Sean,
Interesting.
I think at that point we do that, but
Yeah.
but
I'm okay
Sean,
with that.
do you have a reason why it should be something other than 12 Monkeys, just for conversation's sake?
Something of the 5?
Of the 5.
No, in my opinion, there are 4 that can't move,
Okay.
and they're Die Hard, Sixth Sense, Pulp Fiction, Unbreakable. Those 4
would agree with
have
that.
to be there.
I would agree with that.
So
12
we're arguing
Monkeys-
over the 5th slot, and
The-
if these guys would prefer Armageddon over 12 Monkeys, I'm fine with that.
12
Armageddon
Monkeys.
over 12 Monkeys makes me feel better about Die Hard 3, about Sin City not being on there. I will never forgive you guys for Die
I
Hard
think
3
they're
not
both
making this list.
tremendous for completely different reasons.
Sure. Like Die Hard, I think all 5 of these should be Die Hard 3.
But
if it was up to me.
But it's at least his science fiction is getting represented.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I'm happy that his forays.
What's I don't understand. What is the fiction part of that? That's all science, baby.
Yeah, true. Good
No
point.
fiction about that.
How about Armageddon?
Yeah, Armageddon.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, we are going to throw to another break. And on the other side, we are going to rank these 5. But here is how the 9 shook out. Our honorable mentions are Ocean's 12, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Sin City, and 12 Monkeys. The 5 films that we are going to have to come on the other side of this break and rank are Die Hard, Sixth Sense, Pulp Fiction, Unbreakable, and now Armageddon.
I went 3 for 3.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. And now comes the hard part of putting these in order. All right, we are back, and it's the we've come to the moment. The hard choices have been made, and now the even harder choices
This is
are
gonna
to
get
be made.
tough. This is gonna get tough because we have very strong opinions here.
Yeah. So we have 5 films that we have to rank. We're gonna start with number 1. I think going in order 1 through 5 is gonna make this a little bit
I gotta
easier.
Jump in with a question. At this point,
Sure.
we are ranking 1 through 5 of the 5 films that we have.
Yeah.
Are we talking collectively as a group, best or favorite?
Best.
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 I think we're
Best.
Okay.
best.
All right.
So Die Hard 3 for all of these.
okay. All right.
Honorable mention. I'll let you know. You can be the only honorable mention. You want me to get rid of the other ones?
Yes.
Kev?
Yes. Yes. That'll make me happy. Just give me that. Please just give me that.
All right.
I endorse that decision.
Do you guys remember at the end of 21 Jump Street when Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum are walking away at the end? And I think the conversation is about Die Hard 3 being the best Die Hard. They do the entire.
I don't remember that.
It's literally the
It was a
ending
fever dream
dialogue
that
of the
Kevin had.
film.
It wasn't.
I remember DMing Phil Lord about that. I'm like, yes. I don't
That's
know if he
amazing.
agrees or not, but it was funny. Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, Bruce Willis film. We have Die Hard, Sixth Sense, Pulp Fiction, Unbreakable, and Armageddon. I'm just going to throw it out to the table. Who wants to nominate one to take this first spot? I feel like this will be easier. Jake, you have a thought?
Jakey.
I'd like to nominate The Sixth Sense.
Okay, explain.
I think it is his best performance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it showcases so many different things about him, his ability to work, what he can do in his performance when he's by himself, what he can do in his performance opposite other people, what he can do opposite other people when he's actually by himself. Like, think about the scenes that he has sitting with Toni Collette or with his wife at the dinner table. That scene when technically his character is not there, but what he's able to get out of that. I think it showcases him best as an actor, and it is a movie that hangs on him being a movie star, but at no point does it feel like a movie star vehicle.
I think those are
But
great
now
points.
wait, hold on. Are we talking about his best performances, or we're talking about the best movie that he's in?
I think at this point it's a more nuanced
It's a
discussion.
both?
We have the
Yeah,
5, and it's, I think in order to make
Yeah.
number 1, you have to have a lot of really strong feelings about it.
Yeah,
that's
and here's and when it comes to like best movie he's in, of the 5, I think the best of the 5 is Pulp Fiction. But
Right.
because he's such a fraction of that movie, the fractions like he's a part of that movie.
Sure.
It's
I
hard
understand.
to call that the best. You know,
Right.
if that,
you want to place emphasis on him in the film.
and him in the film, and the reason the movie is great.
So I will say this. I think if we were doing 5 Bruce Willis movies Die Hard needs to be 1. But I understand,
and I get where you're coming from. And if Die Hard ends up being 1, like I'm not gonna throw my hands up in the air. Like I totally completely get it. I assumed I would be the dissenting vote.
No, because for this Sixth Sense was a career defining. So I mean, so was Die Hard, but like a career altering role for him. It proved that he could succeed on a global level at the highest pinnacle of his career.
And to date, isn't it? It's his biggest hit, right?
It is his highest grossing film to date. Yes. And he made the most money off of it. It's the role that turned him into the highest grossing actor of all time because he took points on the back end.
Wow.
It's also one of the films that he had to make in a deal with Disney because he was working on a movie called Broadway Brawler.
Mm-hmm.
And it was described as Jerry Maguire, but set in the world of pro hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And when it fell apart, because Bruce had a falling out with the director, the only way that they would let him off the hook for his massive salary is to do 3 pictures for Disney. And they were The Kid, The Sixth Sense, and then I think Unbreakable was the third. And then so it's weird that The Sixth Sense ends up becoming.
What was that other one you said, Sean? The what?
Thank
you. I just want to make sure I heard that.
With you, I don't dislike that movie.
No, it's actually really fun.
So to recap, Jake is putting up The Sixth Sense. He's made his argument. Sean, you want to put Die Hard?
I would like
in
to
the
put
mix.
Die Hard feels right. Like I get it.
I'm okay with The Sixth Sense also.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Die Hard has to be number 1.
Okay.
But I also do believe The Sixth Sense is his best performance. So I think that just automatically
makes it number 2.
1 and 2.
Makes it number 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Die Hard
Yeah.
I'm okay
So I
with
think
1 and 2.
Die Hard,
cool
Sixth
with
Sense.
I'm cool
So
with that.
and it kind of makes sense thematically because Die and then he's dead in the second one. Yeah. So it's
There you go. Yes.
It's Die Hard, and then at number 2, I did.
And then he's reborn as the
He
kid.
did.
We gotta add the kid. We gotta add the kid. Okay, so see, I think this order worked out. Die Hard is number 1. Sixth Sense we have at number 2. What we have left is Pulp Fiction, Unbreakable, and Armageddon. What are we putting at 3? I kind of have something that jumped out at me here. You want to hear my theory?
I would say at that point, I feel like you got.
I feel like Pulp Fiction starts to come in at number 3 here.
And specifically because of the Marcellus
how great of a
Wallace.
movie it is, I think does it. Yeah.
Well, that, but also his character, the whole story, like throwing the fight, running into Marcellus, going to Travolta's apartment or whatever.
Yeah.
Or no, his own apartment. Yeah, where Travolta's
is
at.
Pulp Fiction the best movie that he's in?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think so.
Probably.
I think so too.
I think so.
Probably.
And I think if he were in it more, then you start having the conversation that it goes up higher on the list.
It only speaks to how good everyone else is.
Yeah.
That he gets overshadowed in that part. Because if it's any other film like that, here's where I have to point out a bit that I wrote in the book, which is Bruce has been involved in so many different movies where everyone else got nominated for Oscars and he didn't, which makes me think that it was personal.
Yeah.
Sixth Sense, they got Haley Joel Osment, they got Toni Collette, they get M. Night, they get Picture. Pulp Fiction, obviously, everyone across the board gets nominated, and Bruce doesn't get nominated at all. It just blows my mind that like the Academy, I think the Academy just lumped him into the action category.
What would you have nominated him for if you for any of his performances? What would you have nominated him for?
100% Sixth Sense, 100% Pulp Fiction. I would have given it to him for 12 Monkeys. I think that's his best performance. Instead, Pitt gets it for chewing the scenery and doing all of the normal ticks that come with playing somebody who's in a mental health facility. I mean, he should have 3 nominations instead he has 0. He should have 3 nominations and probably a win.
Has he
also
0?
I want to shout out one more.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just want to shout out the one more scene from Pulp Fiction. The back of the taxi scene to me is one of my favorite scenes in that whole film, and the way Quentin shoots that like an old school Hollywood film with like it looks like rear projection or front projection, however they did it. But I love the dialogue in that scene. I love I don't know. There's just something about that sequence. He's like all sweating from the fight. He just threw it, and the taxi driver is just so interested in it, and like the way they speak to each other. And then when he gets home, and then his girlfriend's learning Spanish, and I remember what's the line? "Donde está la zapateria?"
Yeah.
And
Whenever I think of Butch, I always think of how the taxi driver says it. Whenever she asks for his name, he's like, "My name's Butch," and she always goes, "Booch." That's how I always think of it.
Oh my God! How about
Sally Menke told Quentin that that's her favorite scene that she edited
Really?
with Quentin was the
Such a great scene.
Wow.
back of the taxi scene. Of all the things that they collaborated on, she told him
That's incredible.
That's her favorite.
Wow. All right.
All right, Pulp Fiction 3.
Pulp Fiction at 3. At 4, we have Unbreakable and Armageddon left.
It's gotta be
Unbreakable. Yeah.
Unbreakable.
All right.
Unbreakable.
I'm very happy with this list.
And then Die Hard 3.5, right?
It was 5.5. 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah.
It's
all
not
right.
a good day for Die Hard 3.
To recap.
Oof.
Our Bruce Willis top 5 list. Number 5, Armageddon. Number 4, Unbreakable. Number 3, Pulp Fiction. Number 2, Sixth Sense. And number 1, Die Hard. Our honorable mentions include Ocean's 12, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Sin City, and 12 Monkeys. And gentlemen, with a filmography like this, let's just off the top of our head, let's add to this honorable mention list. We mentioned some that didn't come up. We said The Fifth Element, Looper,
Fifth Element.
Last
Boy Scout.
Fifth Element.
Death Becomes Her.
Last Boy Scout is awesome.
Yeah, Death Becomes Her.
Death Becomes
Last
Her
Boy
terrific.
Scout is so good. It also can I shout out the Jackal?
Jackal?
Oh,
Lucky
yeah.
Number 7?
Wasn't
Wow.
that remember what isn't there that scene with isn't Jack Black in that?
Yes, he
yeah.
Is he in that or is he in Enemy of the State?
No, he's in.
No, Jason Lee is Enemy of the State. Wait,
But I thought Jack Black was in Enemy of the State. Is he in both?
I thought Jack
I
Black
don't think
was
Jack
in
Black is in Enemy of the State.
the Jackal. Hold on, Jack
Somebody
Black.
gets shot in the Jackal,
Yeah,
like
that's
blown
Jack
up.
Black.
Yeah.
That's Jack Black.
Yeah, because doesn't his head get blown out?
When Willis is like testing out
Yes.
the gun turret that he's
Yeah.
going to use. Yeah.
That's the
Jack
Jackal.
Black is also an Enemy of the State.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
he is.
Yeah, he's in both.
Is he like one of the
I
tech
like-
guys?
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
in my mind, I was thinking about comedians who were in Enemy of the State. I remember Jason Lee being in it. I don't remember Jack Black
Seth
being in it.
Green's in it.
Kevin, the next time you interview Jack Black, can you sit down and say the Jackal? How you doing? Can you
I
please
love
call
the
him
Jackal.
Thank you.
I do love the Jackal. I remember. I haven't
right.
seen the Jackal since it came out, but I remember being obsessed with all R-rated movies when I
We
was
should
younger.
do this for This would be fun for Nick Cage.
Nick Cage would be good. Nick Cage would be good. I had a lot of fun. I think we all had a lot of
I like
fun.
this
Let
a
us
lot.
know.
I think that system works very well.
I liked it. Let us know in the comments what you think. If you had fun
Let's
playing
just
along.
get totally shit on. Like,
I know.
never do that again.
Yeah. Fair enough. Feedback's feedback. Just be honest. But also, let us know your list. Let us know your list if you have a top 5, what that looks
Yeah, and then we'll shit on your list.
like. Okay.
Why is everyone shitting on everybody?
That's gonna wrap up our top 5. Sean, I will throw the reins back to you because I think the boys are gonna talk about Inside Out 2, which is dropping this week.
Yes. Are we throwing it to an ad break, Gabe? I'm sorry.
No, we're good right now. We
gonna go right through?
we did an ad break. Yeah, we're good.
Well, it's Tuesday as we record this episode. You're all listening to it after the fact. I am going to see Inside Out 2 tonight, and I'm very, very excited for it because Inside Out, I think Wall-E and Inside Out, well, the Toy Story ones, I do love Toy Story. I don't know. They're all, that's top 5 Pixar for me. I love Inside Out. And specifically, that is a movie that it's like PJ's age. Like he's kind of mirroring Riley. He mirrored Riley when he watched it 10 years ago. He watched it again maybe like 5 years ago, and it really hit him at the end. He got very emotional. And so I'm very excited to see where they go with it now going into it. I was lucky enough to see the opening 35 minutes of it. So I kind of know the setup, but let me know how the rest of it is. Jake, did you like it? Does it
Very,
hold
very much
together?
so. I really loved this movie. I thought that making Riley a teenager, I mean, look, we've all been a kid, but there's something about like the memories of when you turn 13 that I just feel like are a little bit stronger and hold a little bit more sway and weight over us, because that's around the time in our lives that many of us kind of start thinking about or caring about what other people think and aspects of our life that are out of our control. I will say that like the caveat is it never has the emotional weight or depth of a moment like the death of Bing Bong. So it never quite reaches that, but there are a lot of other aspects about it that I think are better than the original. And I think bringing in anxiety just adds a whole other element to it. And there's a fun joke about nostalgia, but they're not ready for nostalgia to show up yet. But all these other emotions that I think do make a lot of the elements better than the original, because I just think it's a far more relatable movie on a universal level.
Did you like it too?
Yeah, I thought it was incredibly profound in the way that it shows crippling anxiety. I've suffered from anxiety. I know a lot of people do, so I'm not trying to make it
thinking
sound.
about you, and I don't mean this like in an insulting way, but I like whenever I saw, because I know I saw the movie the day before you, and my first thought was, I wonder how, because I have moments of anxiety, but I wouldn't go as far as saying that I have anxiety in the way that you do. So I was curious to see how that plot point, because that character, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but I feel like, because I was thinking about you guys, that's a character that arguably, correct me if I'm wrong, could be really offensive if it's done wrong. Like the character of anxiety, like anxiety is something that really affects people, and if you make a wrong joke out of it, like that's not great. So
Sure.
as someone like, I know, and Kevin, you've spoken about this, like how did that affect you?
I thought for me it was I thought it did a good job of like making a visualization of what it feels like when anxiety takes over your sense of self, because the whole concept of the film deals with this idea of coming to the realization of who you are, but also anxiety is part of a group of emotions. Like anxiety can be a good thing when it's helping you, if you're fearful about something you want to complete or accomplish, and you get a little worried because you care. So it's okay to have that anxiety. But then in other ways, in other forms of anxiety, it completely takes over your sense of self, and you forget who you are, and you can't feel joy or sadness. Like all the emotions get kicked out. So that visualization of your mind, and then anxiety being at the center console of what you're dealing with, and then every other emotion being so far away that it can't get to you, and then it tries to get to you, but it can't. And I think those narratives are really interesting, kind of how they were able to play with the idea. And actually, it's something that even after seeing the film, I've now incorporated in my own mind. Like when I'm having an anxious moment, I've had crippling anxiety all my life, and depression and anxiety and ADHD and everything. So I've been on different medications all my life. It's been a part of me for years. But for me, I can now think about it visually in my mind. I'm like, okay, my anxiety is taken over, and I imagine my anxiety at the console, just like Maya Hawke's character is. And then I think about how my other emotions are trying to get back to my head, and how they can't get there, and what's blocking them. Why is it so hard for them to get back? Because I lose my sense of identity when I'm in an anxiety attack. Everything goes out the window, who I am, et cetera. So that's what I thought the film did really well. It was very profound. I cried in the first one. I didn't cry in this one. It was more, what's the word I'm looking for? It was more thought provoking to me about my own. Yeah. I think it spoke to me more personally.
Well, I'm really excited to see it. And I hope that it continues to do this, this turnaround at the box office. I do feel, well, the Garfield movie is doing pretty well. I think the families, especially now schools are out, and, families are always looking for something to do together. I am genuinely concerned that the movies are starting to get too expensive. I wanted to sort of bring up, there was, this conversation that Quentin was talking about, and I think it's an old quote, but him talking about how the movies are supposed to be like the working man's art form kind of thing, and a place for people to be able to go to where you're not pricing out the general audience. It's not live theater. It's not the opera or the symphony or something like that, where the tickets tend to be pretty expensive. And, doing the double feature that I did yesterday, it cost me close to $40 to go see two movies. And, I hate when a Pixar movie or something is that the whole family can go to, and it costs people over $100 to bring their kids to it. And so, I'm
what
torn
Sean
on
is
that.
saying is send him your ticket stubs and he will pay for your tickets.
I mean, that's one copy of Bruce Willis.
I would say when you got that Bruce Willis money.
All right. Speaking of the box office and things turning around, and Big Willie style, we have Bad Boys not for life. Bad Boys 4. Ride or Die. God, they messed up that title.
They messed it up. Do you think it's because they just didn't know if they were going to get to make a 4?
Well, Adil and Bilal said that they thought the third one was going to be the final one.
Oh.
And now they're going to have to make a fifth one.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to catch up with Ride or Die. Kevin saw Ride or Die. Kev, here's what I'll say about it. It's so stupid.
But so is Bad Boys 2, and so but I love it.
Is stupid the adjective we used to do? I think Bad Boys 2 is a hell of an action movie.
No. I think what Sean is trying to say about stupid is that it's so over the top, ridiculous.
It's so over the top.
And I think like it's. I guess stupid is the wrong word. Stupid.
Well, Sean, go ahead and explain what you mean, though.
But I know what he means. I know what you mean. Yeah. He's not saying it's dumb, like dumb.
There's
He's
a
just
sequence
saying,
in it. No. It's in a way, it made me reframe my thoughts on the whole franchise. In that, I guess it's always been very soap opera. It's very soap opera.
Yeah.
And especially now with Adil and Bilal, who are focusing more on relationships, like. Mike Lowry has, like, Will Smith's character has an illegitimate son who's now a significant part of the storyline. He has a relationship with the main police captain. The daughter of Joe Pantoliano's character, who's played by Rhea Seehorn, she's major. The granddaughter's a major character.
It sounds very Fast and Furious-esque.
It's getting into Fast and Furious.
That's what I've heard.
But then also there's an action set piece in it, which is exciting as hell and really well executed, but it's like an entire SWAT team is trying to take out this one prisoner, and Mike and Marcus are able to prevail over the SWAT team as this helicopter is spinning in midair. And I'm watching it and I'm like, this is just stupid as hell. Why don't we watch it here? Come on now. And there's one part where they do borrow a subplot from the Fast and Furious. You know how Tyrese basically just assumes that they've lived this long, so Tyrese is like, I don't think I can die. So that's Martin Lawrence in this one. He has a heart attack early on in the movie, and then he thinks he keeps telling everybody it's not his time, so he's going to live. And there's one part where he hops on the hood of a speeding car, and he's racing forward. And Will Smith yells at me. He's like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm doing police work, baby. And he's just shooting at the villains as he's kneeling on the speeding car.
I never knew until this review how badly I need Sean to be the third bad boy, because some of these line deliveries are pretty incredible. I'm just picturing like Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and Sean O'Connell are.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys. But, all that being said, I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a ton of fun. And I'm a little bit with Kevin. If they keep making these, I will show up, opening weekend and be there for these, because
do we know if they're
really good time.
Is there anything green or lit?
I don't think anything is confirmed.
I mean, it's the only thing doing well this summer. So,
but they definitely tease that there's direction for the story to go.
Would they come back? Adil and Bilal?
So, Adil and Bilal, I don't know. I think that there's real credence to them taking over Spider-Man. There's rumors that they could do Spider-Man 4. I could see them.
Miss Marvel was great.
Their techniques, their filmmaking techniques to do a Spider-Man film. I could see them sort of moving into that universe. I also wonder just how much longer, honestly, that Martin Lawrence and Will Smith can do this. Like, we're not quite at the. Geez, if Harrison Ford is doing Indiana Jones at 80 something years old, then I guess everything's possible. But yeah, I don't know. Sony's going to want them to come back and do more. To Kev, don't you think that they're going to try to wring another one out of them?
One of my favorite things about this whole story is the stories about the box office for the past few weeks have been doom and gloom. It's all over. Movies are done. And I think it's just so funny how easily people come to conclusions when life is just ebbs and flows in general. Every business is ebbs and flows. Television is ebbs and flows. Websites are ebbs and flows. You go through ups and downs. Dune 2 made it over $700 million this year at the box office, which, by the way, didn't get anywhere near Oppenheimer, just for the record. And then I also think it's interesting that last year with Barbie and Oppenheimer, box office is clearly being shown to go if people will go to the movies, if they're interested in something, they will go. And Bad Boys overperformed because it's a fun adventure comedy. It's like that buddy comedy. It's so fun to watch. And it's for me, I thought this one was amazing. And I love all the Bad Boys films. The Reggie storyline in this one is so good. And for people who know what Bad Boys is, the Reggie character came back in 3. He's now back in 4. It's the same actor. And so that particular storyline in this one I watched it with a large crowd, and that character gets some of the biggest laughs and claps and cheers.
It's one of the best scenes in the entire franchise. Honestly.
He has a scene. We're talking about in the fourth one, right? Because the scene in the fourth one, where we won't give it away, but he has an action scene in this one that is remarkable.
So wait, do you put this one above 2?
No. I would go 2, 1, 3, 4.
I would say 2's the best.
2's the best.
3, 4. You'd put 4 last.
Yeah, and I love 4, but I think no, I love 3. I love see, to me, I cried in 3. The Panigliano death was really emotional. I thought the Mike Lowry almost death was really crazy. I felt more emotional in 3 than I felt in 4. 4 was just like someone compared it to like Fast 5. It's just like ridiculously over the top, but I love spending time. Like, I just like sitting in the car with Martin and Will. And just, again, like I said earlier, like Will's so deadpan and Martin is so over the top and hilarious. There's this whole bit in the film where Martin Lawrence is saying that like in a past life, Will was like, the whole concept. Yeah.
You were a donkey and I was mean to you.
It's so stupid, but it's so funny.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's it's definitely stupid.
But I want to clarify, when I say stupid, I'm not saying it's like badly written. It's just so ridiculous.
It's just dumb.
That's kind of what I mean. Yeah. It's like, it's just really fun to watch. I don't know.
I want
to
dip into spoilers for one scene. Do we have to do spoilers or the movie's out?
I mean,
I'm going to take my IFB out.
I was just saying,
do spoilers.
I want to ask Kevin his perspective on a scene that happens at the end. Specifically. Yeah. Kev, there's a scene that I watched where Will is having one of his panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the final shootout at the carnival.
Yeah.
And Joe Pantoliano appears to him and he says, it's not your fault. Let it go. Mm-hmm. It's time to move on, kind of thing. And in order to wake him up out of his zoning out, Martin Lawrence slaps him.
Right.
And immediately I thought of the slap and the Chris Rock thing. Right.
And you know what's funny is I didn't think about that.
I've heard that too, though. I've heard people,
But then, because specifically what Marcus says to Mike in that moment, he slaps him once and he says, just because you did something bad doesn't make you a bad person. And then he slaps him 2 more times. And when he slaps him 3 total times, I was like, oh, damn, this is like penance. I'm watching Will Smith have penance for his public embarrassment.
I did not. Well, 2 things. I did not at all compute that slap to anything about the Oscars. I actually, until this moment, this is the first time that I've heard this theory.
Yeah.
But now that you're saying it, it's like I can't unsee it now.
Because Joe Pantoliano tells him, he's like, it's not your fault. It's okay to move on, kind of thing. And then in order to wake him up out of that, Marcus slaps him once. And I was like, okay, once is fine. But then when he says to him, he's like, hey, man, just because you did something bad doesn't make you a bad person. And then he slaps him 2 more times.
Haven't they slapped each other in the franchise before?
I don't think so.
Because if they have that. That could be the only argument that it's a throwback. Because remember when Martin in Bad Boys 2, when he's like under the ecstasy, doesn't Will like slap him or something something to wake him up? Or I don't remember I could be wrong. But
that was my read on that scene. I was curious what you thought about it. So
so we'll see. It's a very interesting thought though. Yeah.
I will be curious to see what people take away from that. All right, so we're gonna wrap. We're gonna conclude this episode.
Good show.
Head down to the comments, and now we want to hear from you guys. Give us your top 5 Bruce Willis. I'm sure it's going to include a couple of titles that we left out, but I do enjoy this new draft strategy, the way that we do it. In the meantime, follow us on social media for all the fun stuff that we do in between. And as I mentioned, we have a couple of really fun episodes coming up with some fun interviews. If you've watched any of our socials, you might be able to guess who's coming to the show. But
we can tease. It's in the can. We got the footage.
We got Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner is joining us. Who else did we do? Did we locked up anybody else?
We have Jeff Nichols.
Oh yes, we
that's
do.
A good one. That's a good one.
It is a really good one.
Sorry, Jeff, if you're listening, we love you too.
I see it Tuesday.
And then we're efforting. Maybe Sean Levy. Maybe.
Hey, there's you want to go deep. We haven't even really asked. In October, there's an opportunity that might arise that I just shared with you boys yesterday.
You did?
We gotta follow up on that. You know who I would like to, who I think would be And wait, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's come on the show before. I really
Steven
would like to
Spielberg?
get. Well, no, I'd like to get Tim Burton.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he'd be
yeah,
fun.
that'd
We've
be
had
awesome.
Danny
very
Elfman,
fun.
but we haven't had Tim Burton.
Yeah. Kevin did a
Burton would be a
great job
good
with
time.
Danny Elfman.
Thank you.
Good stuff, boys.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Spielberg. I'm just gonna say Spielberg now.